Welcome to MTA Queensland's weekly newsletter. Last week we spoke about the government's announcement around electric vehicles. We've known this revolution's been coming for some time, but with that announcement we can expect it to happen a bit faster. Also, more and more models are starting to appear that are reachable for normal consumers. They can now perhaps afford them. What does that mean for our industry? It's time to get ready for electric vehicles to start appearing in your workshops. I'm really pleased today to be standing beside our lead technical trainer for electric vehicles, Keith Minchin. Keith's leading the training programs for MTA Queensland. Keith, what's happening around electric vehicle training?
Well, it's a pretty exciting time, Rod. Actually, there's a big change in the industry, and it's a really challenging time for our technicians because we've got to start to learn about technologies that we may not have dealt with in the past. We're learning about working on high voltage vehicles safely, and a lot of systems in those cars that create the high voltage and manage that high voltage and drive some fairly powerful three-phase motors. So certainly a lot of systems that we've got to learn about, and we'll adapt as we go along. But what's really important at this stage is for everybody to prepare and be ready for the onslaught of these electric vehicles, and of course not to forget hybrid vehicles, because that is a big part of our market, and both have a lot of similarities. It's not like they're completely different. At the moment we're running a 3-day course, a fairly intensive course aimed at the more experienced guys in the industry, the qualified guys, who come into our workshop, and we're pretty much tearing these cars apart. We're looking and taking a deep dive in the electronics, the systems that run the cars, from the batteries to the inverter converters to the three-phase drive, and all the safety systems in the vehicle that manage this high voltage in a safe way, and make them as efficient as they can possibly be. And so far our courses have been extremely popular. We're booked out until about July, I think, Rod. So, very popular course. We're getting great feedback from the guys that are coming in and doing these courses, and highly recommend, that you get your people in here, get them trained up, and it's certainly going to be great for efficiencies of workshops and that transition into these new technologies.
So the message is the timing's now. Don't wait for more and more vehicles to appear in your communities. Start skilling up your technicians now. The course is fully booked out, but still talk to us, because we're trying to offer more and more programs to encourage this skills development. If we could clone Keith, it'd make it a lot easier. If you wanted immediate access to some just online training, Keith's also done what we call as a micro-credential. It's essentially an online course where he runs through the key mechanisms around the training course that he's talking about. It's definitely worth having a look at. Keith, any other messages for industry around, there's a view out there that, we're not seeing many of them yet, we'll wait. But of course, one will suddenly turn up.
Well, of course, we are seeing a lot more on the road now. Now, these cars are fairly new, but we are starting to see big numbers cattle onto the road. A lot of incentives, as Rod said, for people to buy electric vehicles now with rising fuel costs, and electric vehicles are far more efficient than they were when they started out. So a lot of manufacturers have actually put a peg in the sand and saying from a particular date they won't be building any more internal combustion engine vehicles. So it's definitely something we need to get onto. There's a real opportunity out there for workplaces to work with this technology. It's a real thing, but of course we need to be in that position to take full advantage of the new opportunities.
Thanks, Keith. And the only other breaking news is the MTA Institute's now offering training in the electric vehicle apprenticeship that's recently been released under the National Training System. See you next week.